loved in the book when he was like, women and men are not equal. We're not equal. We're complementary to each other.
Right.
And that's so powerful because we are so different. There's no way we're as strong as men,
Right.
like
Yeah.
I've had like a man just like rub my back and I'm like, you're going to break my bones. Like, there's that physical strength that comes to them that
Mhm.
women just don't have. So we're complementary, like we complement each other. And I think that's so, so, so beautiful. So with the masculine in his, truest essence, what does that look like? And then as well, what is the feminine in her truest essence? What does she look like?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. So I would say the masculine in his truest essence, one of the ways I teach about the masculine is just, first of all, starting with understanding our physical biology. When you look at how a man and a woman are designed physically, it starts to give you insight into their energetic blueprint, their spiritual and emotional blueprint as well. Because ultimately, if we're going from the belief system or principle that we are more than just physical beings, that we are soul, spirit, divinity in human bodies, that we have access to the divine and to our soul, but that we're in physical form, then we can start to understand that our physical form is just a reflection of something beyond our physical form. It's a reflection of our energetic, biochemical, spiritual makeup, essentially. And so that would mean that if a man is designed by his biology to physically penetrate a woman, he has the external capacity to penetrate a woman, then he also has the energetic, emotional, um, just spiritual capacity to penetrate as well. It's spiritual, it's energetic, it's emotional. It's like he has the capacity to penetrate the world, to move in the world in a way that is outward, that is commanding of respect, because it can dominate, it can lead, it can ravish, it can initiate, it can build in the world. It's outward. The feminine is inward, right? Our bodies are built to receive on every level, not just physically, because we're designed to physically receive a man in the masculine. We're also energetically, emotionally, spiritually designed to receive them. And to receive, we have to soften and surrender. We can't receive when we're tight and closed, just like we can't birth a baby when our legs are closed. We have to be opened, we have to be surrendered, we have to be receptive and like yielding and able to open up, so to speak. Otherwise, there's no way that anything can be received within us. So that also means we can't create without receiving. We have to receive the masculine first. We have to receive his seed first. We can't create on our own. We have to be in union to create life. And so that has been forgotten in a lot of more like new age, like newer cultural trends, so to speak. There's this loss of this understanding that we're literally designed to, yes, complement one another in a very unique way. We need one another. And so a man in his, I would say, purest essence is, first of all, connected to his masculinity. He's not separated from that part of himself, and that can look different man to man. There's no one perfect way to like express masculinity, but essentially the masculine is the expression of logos, which is the word of God. It's truth, it's awareness, it's consciousness, it's clarity. It's like, deep penetrating wisdom. So that aspect of the masculine is clear. It's like the intensity of men when they sometimes say something and it's so direct and it's kind of like really confronting. That's a part of the natural essence of the masculine, is to be that way in a different way. The feminine is meant to be, doesn't mean she's always soft, but she's receptive, right? She can be fierce in her receptivity. She can be fierce in her love, but she's still receptive. So she has a different quality than the masculine. She's more the nourishment, the love force, the eros, the passion, the energetic expression, right? Like if we were to look in nature, we could get really beautiful, like infinite examples of what is the pure essence or expression of the feminine, what is the pure essence and expression of the masculine. Well, the masculine is like the sun. It's like this unyielding, penetrative force of warmth that is nourishing, but it's also intense, it's penetrating, right? The feminine is like the earth. She has this deep, rich, nutrient, based soil that's so nourishing, but it's also deep and dark and earthy, and it has to be penetrated by the light or the consciousness, the clarity, the awareness of the masculine. Like the earth hungers for the warmth of the sun. Plants can't grow without it, right? And the feminine is also like the weather, or she's like the rhythms of the earth. She's never not changing, right? She has cycles and rhythms, just like the cycles of seasons, so to speak. She's like the ocean just as much as she's like the trees and the rocks, so to speak. Like she's very variable. So there's all these different examples we could look at in nature, or even water flowing over rocks. You have the feminine principle as the water, because we're fluid as women. We're meant to be fluid and rhythmic, and again, like yielding and surrendered, and like in a constant state of moving from a deeper place within ourselves, like moving from, we're not built again to be this, I guess the way I could put it is like we're not built to be outward focused. We're built to be more focused on the internal rhythms of our beingness. And so when you see that reflection in nature, you see these cycles and rhythms that are constantly changing and constantly fluid, and they're more mysterious than, say, the sun, right? The sun is not mysterious, it just is. And that's how the masculine is. A man in his core essence, he, we could say even a man doesn't have to even be quote unquote awakened, right, to be a conscious man. He can just be incredibly piercingly aware, and to carry that signature of truth and consciousness, that is a detriment to, dark forces, so to speak. That's dangerous to evil, because it pierces through all of that. It's just like this incredible light of consciousness and clarity that is very purifying. And so when a man is in touch with that in himself, he's more likely to be just a powerful force of change on the planet. And it doesn't mean he has to have these particular qualities. I would say that men in their masculine core generally have access to a sense of assertiveness, dominance, ability to initiate, ability to take the lead in various ways. It doesn't mean they don't also have access to feminine energy, but generally speaking, they're more in touch with their biological design, right? They're not trying to be feminine necessarily. They have access to feminine energy. They have access to their heart. They have access to receptivity and surrender, but they also need the feminine for that, because we're their deeper access point to that within themselves. And so on the feminine side, I would just say, there's so many different expressions of feminine energy. I never teach that like the feminine is just meant to be soft and surrendered all of the time. It's like, well, she can also be like a monsoon, right? If she's like the weather, she can be like the ocean, which the ocean has destroyed villages in the name of love and truth, so to speak, right? Just the forces of nature driven by God. Us in our feminine energy, like if we are meant to embody love, sometimes embodying love looks soft and delicate and gentle and surrendered, and sometimes it looks intense and destructive, right? But that part of our nature is always driven by love. It's meant to always be driven by love. So a woman in her refined feminine essence is not always soft, but she is always receptive to divine will and divine love. She's always meant to embody love. And again, that can take so many different forms and expressions, but essentially she's in touch with that deeper current of the mysteries that move through her own body and through nature, through the earth, through all of life itself, right? She's in touch with that deeper pulse. She's in touch with her body. She's in touch with her heart. She's not moving from her mind. The masculine's a little bit more like logical, consciousness based, so to speak. The feminine is deeply intuitive, deeply nonlinear, like very much has access to like the multidimensional realms and spirit and the energetic realms because of our womb and our capacity to literally be vessels or sort of bridges between heaven and earth and life and death. That's kind of our essence and blueprint as women. So when a woman is really connected to her pure essence, her pure feminine essence, that's sort of that's really more how like the texture of that fabric is. It can be so different woman to woman, but it's definitely like she's really rooted into the depths of her beingness. She's not um, moving about her life from a mental, heady, logical, rigid place. She's able to drop into the deeper surrender that's required to be in flow and to be in rhythm and to be in touch with the divine and to be a sort of vessel of creation in the world.
Mm.